All right, this is just an update on our ES short signal that we got 1 week ago. So we're going to jump back in and little update. So on the screen here, this is where it is. That signal on the 19th is where we got the signal, close of day. So you would have either been in right here at the end of the day or open up the next day, depending on how quick you reacted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this back in replay mode and take it back to where we were that day. So that day we got the signal based on the indicators and based on going through this angular supply and demand dynamic trend line right here. So now that we're through that, we took the trade. We know we're being cautious because we are going somewhat against the latest move in trend, which has been bullish for about a month. So you take a little smaller sample size or less contracts, less shares, depending on what you're trading. That way you can play the game, but with lower risk. So we go forward. We're going to go forward a day. Next day, we dropped down. We blew right through this very light blue zone here. That was blue is daily. And then we went right down to the light blue, another daily zone with a refinement of an intraday zone right into that. Bounced down near the bottom of the daily, closed up near the top. Next day, bounced around within that same zone. Next day, bounced around within that same zone. So now you're wondering, hey, what do I do? Do I lower my stops? Do I get out, take my profits? Very personal decision depending on your risk level. Right at the moment, the indicators are all staying in, but it's also showing potential bounce. So we'll go forward one more day. And of course, we did get a bounce like that on Thursday. Notice we bounced right up into that blue line again. Even though we blasted right through it here, we stopped at it this time. That's a very interesting situation. Indicators are all still showing me that our signal is still good. So the question is, what do you do? What do we know? We know the next day is the Fed press conference about what they're going to possibly do in September. Not actually changing anything, but they are telling us what they're expecting to do. So we're going to go through next day, Friday, big old down day, bounced right through and back down all the way through this zone and down into an area where we don't have any markings at the moment. Turn off the replay. Yes, replay is off. So now we're live. And this is Sunday night, the August 28th. The Asian market has opened about a little over an hour ago, and that's why you see this right here. This is live right now. So now the question is, hey, it came down and it gapped down to that location, and our next zones are drawn here. Could you have drawn other zones? Yes, of course, you can find zones all over the place. The art and science of this is to try to pick out the zones you think will be the strongest and play off of those, but always be aware that there's always something out there that could affect your trade. But this particular location happens to be a really good example of something we talked about zone drawing and zone refinement. So normally we were drawing the zones based on the candle prior to the large pull away. Well, in this case, we talked about when you're in a little bit of a push and you see these opposing candles, that is one place that could potentially be another zone. So let's draw that there, candle wick to wick, and I'm going to change the, oops, I lost that. Come on. Change that to the daily because this is on a daily chart. So I drew this on the daily chart. That's why I'm making it blue. You can see had I had that on there, the interesting thing about where it went down to at its low on Friday happened to be right down to that zone. That's interesting, but I hadn't had that one on there. I didn't think it was one of the stronger zones, so I didn't have it on there. But as of today, it's a good lesson because now if we want to go look at it and look at a zone refinement, I'm going to go into these 2 days, which is the 27th and 28th of July, and we're going to look inside the intraday chart of this this area, and find out if there's any better information than I have on the chart right now. So there we go on the 30-minute chart. I'm going to go back to the 27th and 28th, which is right here. And you can see this is that area where I drew the blue line. And so now the question is, you can see, okay, the daily zone encompassed all this price action. Can I refine that? Well, the answer is yes. There's a couple of different ways you could refine that. You could refine that down to this whole candle right here, because that's where your strong pull away is. Or you could refine it down to those opposing wicks in the middle. Both are correct. Usually if you take the full candle, you'll at least have the right area mapped out. You won't get the precision, but this is just a quick lesson on refinement. So I'm going to change this. Now we got the orange. That's the refinement of this daily chart because I found the detail within there. Let's just reset this and go back to live. And if you take a look where we are live, right at that zone, opened up the gap right at that. Now it's actually breaking through that on the live market. So now the question is going to be, what does it do? Does it hold? Does it hold this and continue, or does it bounce around in there? Either way, as the day progresses, we'll get some more information out of that and decide how to go forward. Right at the moment, everything says continuation, but every day is a new piece of information. So that is today's update. We're going to switch back to the daily chart and just take a look at what's in front of us. So we're up here. There's a couple of zones that I've drawn in front of us, some smaller, weaker ones, and then we don't have any bigger ones until we get farther down. The question is, are we going to hold this zone or catch in any of these? Very good question. The next Fed announcement is, I forget what it is, September 12th, something like this, a couple of weeks into September. So we'll see if that has any effect on this at all. But for now, it's a hold. Moving stops down. Talk to you later. Have a great day.